Every arrogant man you encounter is carrying a loaded weapon, and it is aimed directly at his own head. His biggest weakness is not his physical strength or his resources, it is his ego. People assume power requires volume. They think the man who strikes first, shouts the loudest, and physically dominates the space walks away the victor. But when you fight an arrogant man head-on, you are playing by his rules. You waste your own energy feeding his narrative. There is an entirely different approach. Instead of throwing a punch, you use his desperate need to feel superior as the exact leash to drag him to his own destruction. Welcome to the mental strike. You don't have to overpower anyone. True dominance is an act of psychological architecture. This shifts your role from a participant in his drama to the observer of his mechanics. Look closely at the loudest rivals and the bullies in your life. Every single boast, every piece of aggressive posturing is driven by a single desperate hunger to be seen and validated. Their arrogance is not armor. It is a costume weak men wear to hide a deep, terrifying emptiness. Most people fall into the trap. They take the bait, get offended, and start arguing back. They match the aggression, escalating the conflict until it spirals out of their control. Look at this behavioral map. A strategist steps back and observes the opponent objectively. Once you recognize that every loud stimulus your enemy produces feeds straight into a repeating loop of his own need for attention, you realize his moves are entirely predictable. And a man who is entirely predictable is a man you can dismantle without ever lifting a single finger. To control a narcissist, you do the exact opposite of what he expects. You do not attack his pride, you feed it. When you stroke an arrogant man's ego, you hand him a highly addictive drug. You make him feel admired, and in doing so, he becomes dependent on your validation to function. You encourage him to talk. You let him take up all the air in the room. Because as he talks, he gets comfortable. He gets careless. Without realizing it, he strips away his own defenses and hands you his deepest insecurities on a silver platter. He looks at you and sees an adoring audience. He believes he is dominating the interaction, soaking up the spotlight. He has no idea you are actively setting a trap. Every boast he makes, every unnecessary detail he volunteers, is a brick. He thinks he is building a monument to himself, but you are taking those exact bricks to build the architecture of his defeat. Then you pivot. You wipe your face of all expression, hold yourself completely neutral, and introduce total silence. An ego-driven mind cannot tolerate a vacuum. An arrogant man needs friction. He needs your reaction to measure his own superiority against. When you remove that friction, you remove his oxygen. This creates a heavy psychological pressure. He will immediately scramble to fill the void. He will start to panic, projecting all of his own internal fears and insecurities directly onto your stillness. While he burns his energy trying to decipher what you are thinking, you are simply watching. You are mapping his panic with surgical precision. The power dynamic has inverted, and control now belongs to the one who is silent. Now you trigger the mechanism. You don't launch a massive attack. You simply drop a subtle comparison into the conversation and quietly withdraw the validation he has grown addicted to. Because you've built his dependency, the sudden withdrawal of your approval leaves him desperate. He is forced to question the source of his status, and the fear of losing his audience begins to set in. In a frantic attempt to reclaim the room, he will double down on his arrogance, lashing out at anyone who doesn't offer praise. To his peers, he no longer looks like a leader. He looks like an unstable liability. He burns his social bridges to save his pride. The trap is complete. Your opponent has engineered his own isolation. He has done the work to destroy his own standing, while you remain unblemished and uninvolved. The highest form of strategy is not winning a brutal, drawn-out war. It is architecting the outcome long before the battle begins. Letting an arrogant man defeat himself is the cold, sophisticated dominance of the Machiavellian mind. You are merely giving him the tools he asked for. If you are ready to claim this reality, go to the comments right now and type, "I win before I enter." Mastering the ego is the foundation. The true depths of dark psychology go further, and that is where we are heading next. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and get ready for the descent.